Part-time property investing is costing you thousands and thousands of dollars each and every year. If you want to find out what the hell I'm talking about, make sure you stick around because we're going to unpack that right now. Guys, welcome back to the channel. My name's Julian. I'm the head of strategy here at Ripehouse. And if you're new to the channel, make sure you're hitting that like and subscribe button because here we talk about property investing and finance-related property items. So I guess in today's video, we're going to get into a bit more of a maybe pointed, maybe confronting facts really when it comes to property investing, how part-time or DIY property investing in some instances, I would say not some, in a majority of instances, is costing you thousands of dollars each and every year. Now, there may be some of you watching who are going to leave me some comments and go ahead. I'm more than happy to take that on board. But in the general consensus of the market, when we break down to the data, and this is not our data, this is census data, investment properties in Australia get outperformed significantly by this typical family home in terms of performance. So this is something which is a common reoccurring theme, and we're going to get into the reasons why that might be, or what are the reasons for it, because there's a multitude of reasons. So firstly, going into it, it's in general, when you're doing it in a part-time basis, you're going to have less choice. And the reason for that is you might not be getting access to pre-market or off-market opportunities. Agents may not be giving you info on building issues, so you don't know where to allocate your time. Whether you can trust the photos, whether you can trust the video, whether you can, just trust your gut feel. And they may not be connecting you with colleagues or, just people on the ground that can really assist you to that space. So in general, you're going to have more competition whilst you're going through that purchasing phase. So you're looking at less opportunities and you've got more competition to compete with. So the amount of properties and selection you can choose is going to get harder and harder. So it's just like anything in terms of economics. If there's more demand than there is supply, you're typically going to be at a disadvantage in terms of the purchasing side of things as well. And the other thing, and agents can sniff it from a mile away, is where they're on the phone or they're dealing with an absolute novice property investor or someone who's maybe gone out there, done a course and maybe learned some theory, but there's a big difference from theory-based learnings to actual practicality and living and breathing that experience. They will sniff it out. And, whether they're going to get you to bid up amongst yourselves, whether they're going to get imaginary offers, or whether you don't have an understanding in terms of the right street in a particular suburb, whether the market's moving up or down as well, they can really exploit that and draw that process on, particularly if they've got a vendor on the other side who is, they're really driving home a set price that agent has to deliver, and they sniff that inexperience or weakness in you as an investor, they're going to really drive that neck. I've seen that cost some investors. We've had a member in the team recently sell one of their poor performing properties in the Perth market, and they had multiple offers, and the nearest offer to the actual winning offer was $25,000 difference, right? So if you've got a good experienced agent, they know how to exploit those offers as well. So this is really where your part-timers or your DIYers can end up costing themselves not only thousands, tens of thousands. So that's number one. The next one is, I guess, understanding the lower close rate. So, I've spoken with one investor recently. He had put over 50 offers on properties over the last 6 months, and he's still got no closer. So if you're not understanding some of the aspects we've already just covered off, just shooting in the dark doesn't mean you're actually going to hit a target, and more often not kind of get you that's the wrong kind of target as well. So you're going to have a lower close rate. If you're closing at 5%, 10%, 20%, or maybe you're closing too much. Every time you're putting an offer forward, you're getting your offer accepted. So that's really going to cost you and that buying side, but also just the time spent. We use that example of an actual real life example of somebody I'd spoken with taking them 6 months. We will typically purchase for a client in a 2 to 12 week period, so where the average DIY investor will take 6 to 9 months. I mean, if we use the Perth property market as an example, if you were out of the Perth property market for 6 months this year, you've probably cost yourself somewhere between 10 to 15% of growth. So there's I guess a learning curve here, and it's one of my favorites. It's the Dunning-Kruger effect. So if you're unfamiliar with this one, you got two axes. We've got the confidence one, where how confident you feel your skill set is or your knowledge is, and where your actual knowledge sits. And sometimes that overconfidence, but lack of knowledge or experience is what really costs you as an investor, whether that's time, whether that's overpaying, whether that's finding opportunities. So I guess the takeaway that I would give somebody watching this video, and again, I'm positive, I know firsthand speaking with investors who have got a good result. I guess the difference between a lucky investor and a professional investor will go and buy 100 properties, and all 100 of those properties will have yielded a good return. A good investor might get 60, 70, 80 of those properties yield a good return, and an average investor will get a 50% strike rate. Okay, so that's the differences between a professional and average investing. But I guess some of the questions I want someone watching this video to go away and ask themselves before they go and buy a property is, can you confidently go and ask yourself these questions and ask yourself yes? Because when we're talking about buying a property, in general, most people are spending $500,000 or somewhere in that range. And property investing is an expensive mistake to make. You know, if you're wrong 1 or 2% either way, which again, we're talking thousands of tens of thousands of dollars. So probably first question to ask yourself is it the best market to invest in? Yeah, are you just investing there because you know the area and it's easier for you to get to? You can afford it. You've heard it from your cab driver, you know, you've heard it from someone at the pub. Like, you need to ask yourself, is it the best market that makes sense to invest in? Or is it because it's easier for you to execute on? The second question is, have you bought well? If you're sitting there questioning yourself because you're unfamiliar with whether you're confident you're going to get your price secured or not, or whether you're confident that you've overpaid or underpaid, that to me is probably a warning sign that you might have the theory, but you don't have the practical experience to go out there and execute. The next one is, have you bought timely? So I used the example of Perth there in terms of, you're out of the market for 6 months. Probably the best performing clients that I've seen over time are clients who have spent thousands of dollars on DIY property courses. They've, at the end or in the middle of that course, turned around and realized and gone, I don't have the time or skill set to execute this and do a good job. And they've come and engaged us, and they've bought timely. They haven't wasted 6 to 12 months further from there to then try and apply it. They've gone out and actually got themselves a result. So that's another one. Have you bought timely? The other one is it the right asset? I can't explain enough how many clients I interact with where they're considering buying because they've become fixated after doing their own research that it has to be in this precise location or precise street or precise pocket, but their budget doesn't allow them to purchase the type of asset they should. And that's always a 3 or 4 bedroom freestanding home. So they're sitting there going, well, you know, I really want to get in this area, so I'm going to buy a unit, I'm going to buy an apartment, I'm going to buy a townhouse, I'm going to buy a duplex because I'm going to get some growth. Well, would you rather 60 or 70% of the growth or 100% of the growth? So you don't have to actually sacrifice on the asset type. You just might need to look at broader opportunities in terms of locations. You want to make sure you are buying the right asset. The asset is always a leading indicator of performance as well. And then the last one is, have you made an investment-based decision? So we take all of those points into consideration, and are we going with everything that makes sense from a practicality standpoint? It's not that whether you want to live in it. It's not whether you like the color of the walls or the bricks, or whether it's brick or whether it's clad or whether it's in your state or in your suburb. It's, are you making a purchase that is going to lead you to the best investment return, or are you making something that's either easier or what you're comfortable with? Because if you haven't answered yes confidently to all of those questions, then you're probably not going to get yourself the result more often than not that you might. You might get lucky, and it does happen. Sometimes clients will get lucky and get the right result. Quality professional investing is getting the right result each and every time. So again, this is a bit more of a pointed, direct question that we get each and every day here at Ripehouse in terms of an advisory level. But yeah, let me know your thoughts. If you haven't already, make sure you like and subscribe, but leave your comments. I'm sure there'll be plenty of people there that will be able to talk about their successes, but let's also hear about some of your learnings. So that'd be great. I hope somebody watched this and got some education or some information out of it. But Thanks so much for watching today, and we'll see you guys on the next one. Bye for now.